to Journey Through the Gate, your paranormal portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together.
I'm just a little bit masochistic like that. But, like I'll be looking that up and they'll be like, oh, you can't talk about it or it'll come get you. And that's like the scariest part for me.
Yeah. Well, see, that's just it. If we're talking about energy and frequencies, right? And you can talk about, we can very calmly speak about a ghost that maybe stayed, I don't want to say dormant, but let's say quiet for a while because one family moved there. We've never seen anything. And then the next family moves in, and that there's one person in that family that ghost might connect to, their energy, because they're suffering the same things or going through the same type of similarities, whether it's feelings, energies, things in life.
On the same wavelength.
Yeah, same wavelength, and they connect, so they can connect into that energy. Just through feeling and thought process and, that energy that they put off and their light, whatever it might be. Then how can we in our common sense mind think that an entity that's not human couldn't do that?
Right.
So you can't.
Right, and
Sorry to... No, I'm just saying, one that's been around ancient, that's got the ability and the learned process of the whole thing. You
hear
can't
somebody talking about it or thinking about, oh, I'm being called.
Yes.
I had a Blackeyed Kids encounter back in the 90s.
Oh,
sure
wow.
And to this day, I don't like talking about it because if I tell more than just a very brief, short story of it, something will happen. The first time I ever told it was on Art Bell's show with Heather Wade, and I woke up to screaming in the house when there was nobody around to scream. It was I was doing some computer networking. That was my gig at the time. And I was moonlighting at a place redoing their network. And I was leaving there at like 2 a.m. And this was in an industrial area. It was at a comprehensive rest center. And it was just businesses and buildings and stuff out there. There wasn't any residents anywhere nearby. Well, there was two girls out at the edge of the parking lot. One, I'm guessing, probably 12 or 13. The other around 9 or 10. And they're just kind of sitting there, and I hear them start talking, or the older one. And it was just like this lit, and he's like, he'll have to let us go. He'll have to take us. He'll let us in the car. He'll have to. Just over and over and over, nonstop. And every time I look up, they'd gotten up and were a little bit closer. Then they were under the street lamp, and I could see that they had like the big dark eyes. It looked like to me, the face was more like an alien gray or something, but those big almond-looking eyes. And it scared me so bad. I thought I'd lost my mind. I fumbled my car keys. I couldn't. And it was a convertible. I had the top down. I had a little Miata at the time. I actually jumped over the door into the car. Had trouble getting the car started. And by then, they're almost up to the car. I finally tore out of there. I drove down through the lawn of the place instead of backing up and trying to go up the driveway.
Yeah.
And
so
I drove
you knew
like 100 miles an hour all the way home. And I didn't care if I got pulled over. And it was just such irrational fear. I mean, seriously, I'm driving that fast, and I keep looking back over my shoulder to see if they're right behind the car, or if
they emanate that frequency. Sometimes you just feel it.
I'm shaking, and it was that whole fight or flight thing. Had a girlfriend that lived just within a few miles of there. I was supposed to go to her house. After I was done instead, I drove like 25 miles to my parents' house. On the driveway, I pull around behind the house and park the car in the back, and sat up and peeked out the curtains till daylight.
Wow.
Explain it because I'm not afraid of stuff, but that's scary.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that those feelings of just fear. And I've had that a couple times before at a place that I've been to. But it makes me wonder if it's just certain entities, they exist on that frequency, and just being in their presence can make you feel that.
And I think it was, because I'd been in haunted places. I'd been, where stuff had happened. I'd been around places that had experienced demonic activity and things like that. And that's a whole different field to me anyway. But this, I mean, it's two sort of teenage girls in a parking lot at 2:00 in the morning. Now that's scary in and of itself, because that could be the beginning of a bad situation. Number one, I've got a little 2-seater car. They're wanting a ride. Obviously, I'm not going to put 3 people in a 2-seater car and get pulled over. You know, I was like 30 years old at the time, and have a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old girl with me at 2:00 in the morning. That's asking for trouble.
Suspicious.
But it was just that the nonstop. You know, it was like she was trying to convince me, even though she was talking to the other girl, he'll have to take us. He won't tell us no. He'll let us in the car. He'll give us a ride.
It's a hypnotic. It's a hypnotic cadence.
Stop.
Yeah.
Once I heard it just continued.
Yeah.
And I mean, I sweated, I shook, and I still get, like, right now my palms are sweaty telling it, because it's like I live it every time. And I've been in some really scary situations, but that one is just, that's probably the number one. I've had a couple other times where I was really scared. Once as a kid, I ran out of the woods because something was after me that I couldn't see, but I could see the leaves kicking up in its wake. That one scared me.
Yeah.
And another time, a friend and I saw some kind of creature that it may have been a Wendigo or something. It looked like a horse's head on the body of a man, but it had these big eyes that were in the front, not on the sides like a horse's. Had these big vicious looking teeth that horses don't have. So I don't know what it was, but he saw it too, and it scared the daylights out of both of us.
Yeah.
And his dad, who was full Cherokee, we ran back, told the story. He went down the hill with his shotgun. They were out in the country, had a driveway like 2 miles long.
Yeah.
He went down there to see what it was. We didn't hear any shots or anything, and he comes back, and he just had this weird look on his face. He's like, I want you guys to promise me. He's like, I didn't see anything. There's not anything down there, but I want you guys to promise me you won't play around that old shack anymore. There's an old overgrown shack up on the hill just above where we were, down in a shell pit looking for fossils. And we agreed. And then a few days later, my friend, when he came to school, told me that his dad had pulled the shed down into the shell pit with a tractor and burned it. So there was something there that spooked him.
Yeah.
So I think it was some kind of Native American thing that we weren't really supposed to see, or it could have been just for my friend, because he was half. But his dad knew what it was, but he wouldn't even talk about it.
Well, see, that's just the thing. He knew what to do. It was just end it. Don't talk about it. Let it go. Because that's, that's the thing. And I think a lot of people, the problem I think is we get desensitized and we start bringing this stuff in, because now the glass flying across the kitchen doesn't scare anybody anymore. It's like, oh, that's no big deal. But, the bleeding, the blood running down the walls, and this is, oh, that's great, But see, that's just it. That's where the problem is. And that's why you're hearing more about it. It's not because we're just talking about it more. It's happening more. Because people are focusing on it more. And that's just my belief. And I'm totally believe in the frequency thing. That's absolutely true.
Sorry.
No,
so
go ahead.
That reminds me, I just want to say this before I forget it. The frequency thing, and Steve, what you were saying when you were talking about how when you talk about the black-eyed children, or people say when you talk about the Wendigo, that's when it finds you. And on the subject of frequency, it's like, what if words have certain frequencies, and speaking that word emits that frequency? And it's not so much that they're listening, but those frequencies can attract those creatures or entities in the same way that having traumatic feelings and experiences can.
Oh, I absolutely believe that. Words have power.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even in the Bible, it talks about that you have that's what you confess. Example. So there you go. You can speak things into existence.
And that's why I believe that curses are true.
That's why they always say, careful what you ask for, because there's power in those words. And that's all spells, incantations, invocations, things
curses.
like that. that's all words. Sometimes with sigils and symbols and things, but there's words involved too, and words have power.
You bet.
Written and spoken words and symbols. Definitely, I agree with you.
And like I said, curses. I was just watching something the other night. I can't remember what it was, but it was a curse that a Native American had put on a town. And there was another thing about it, a curse that I believe it was in Salem that the man, I forget his name.
Point Pleasant in West Virginia, with Mothman and all that. Chief Cornstalk cursed that area, and that somehow ties in with Mothman and all that. So and you never know. I think anywhere you live or build a house, you can think, there was no house here before, but I guarantee you, at some point, sometime, maybe thousands of years ago, somebody's been there before you.
Yep. And any square foot of real estate that you're standing in right now, your little square foot that you're standing in or sitting in,
somebody lived there, somebody hunted there, somebody
the layers of time
there. There may be some places where it's not as common. You can get way out in the mountains in the middle of nowhere that's probably never been inhabited. But even the long hunters and people like that have probably been through there at some point.
Yeah, something's happened. You got to think the Native Americans inhabited North America for thousands of years. Some of the burial mounds that they find in North America, I want to say, are 2,000 to 5,000 years old,
at least.
Which is like,
and they're starting to dig them up now. Isn't that fun?
That's a lot of time to explore.
They're starting to dig them up.
We even talked about that, about the Jersey Shore, the Algonquin and the Lenape tribe. They were going there for vacation, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. They go to the shore in the summertime.
Yeah, and there's a story for you too. When you do Asbury Park or you do anything like that around New Jersey, you're filling it up. I can fill you up with some stories just around Asbury, the beach here. But we have a Lenape chieftain that walks through Kennedy Park in downtown Asbury, and that story could be 1,000 years old. Who knows? But it was a chieftain that married an 11-year-old girl. And that's just what happened back then. He was about 60.
Right.
He was about 60 years old. And that was his wife. And as she started growing up, I don't care what you grow up into, your body's going to change and your attitude changes. You can get a little bolder or whatever. He was losing control of her. She was getting older. And they used to walk from where they lived down what is now Main Street in Asbury Park to the beach there, and they would go clamming and oysters and all that stuff that was famous, it still is, for shellfish out here, especially by the jetties and crabbing. So they would do that all day and then come home and they'd have, their dinner and their food and sell the stuff and everything. So they did that every single day. They walked together. This one day he came back alone. She had been giving him trouble and giving him a little mouth back and standing up for herself, and he didn't like it.
Oh, boy.
And he comes back alone. Well, he does this a couple of times. Pretty soon, townspeople start talking about a bunch of the storekeepers and stuff got together and confronted him on it. And he got scared. And then they followed him, and he didn't know it. And he was digging up. What he had done was he killed her. He said she drowned and a rogue wave took her. But they followed him, and he was digging up the parts. He had dismembered her and buried her all over the beach, and he was trying to rehide. So now, to this day, at certain times, you can see him walking with her through Kennedy Park. Through the trees that were probably there at the time, because some of those trees are pretty doggone old. And you know what? The first thing, me being who I am, I start thinking, my God, she's not even away from him in death. She couldn't escape him even in death, And, but see, that's just, there's so many stories. There's stories everywhere. And that's why I think your site is fantastic. Do you have another favorite one that you would like to tell us before we go? Well, I can't believe we've been talking for 2 hours, but I want you to get another one of your favorites.
2 hours. This has been great.
I know. It's been so much fun.
I really enjoyed talking to you guys.
Cisco and I have some marathons.
Yeah, I could talk to you guys all night, honestly. This has been such a great conversation.
It has been great, but I'd love you to tell a couple of your favorites, and then I want you to tell us about your site, where to find your books, where to find you, and we're going to do this again.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I'd love to be back on. You guys are awesome.
We love to talk. We love to talk to ghosties.
This
that's for sure.
Definitely deserves a part 2.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's great.
we could have a part for every state.
For every state, I'm down.
I mean, most of the places I've talked about here have been in Massachusetts, but I've written about the Amityville Horror House and just the Villisca Axe Murder House was just such an interesting one. So yeah, I definitely love to come back. I mean, we didn't even get to talk about Salem.
Wow. Tell us.
Yeah, I know.
Tell us.
I know. We got so much more to talk about.
I know.
But okay, so I did want to tell you guys one personal, a series of stories that when you guys were talking, Steve, just a minute ago about how you had that experience with the black-eyed children and you just felt fear, inexplicable just fear that you couldn't explain, and that reminded me of one of my very first paranormal experiences that I had. Is, if it's okay, I'd like to tell you guys that story.
Absolutely.
Okay, so where to start? All right, so when I was younger, I grew up in southern New Hampshire, and at one point, I think I was 12 or 13. My mom and a friend of hers had heard about this allegedly haunted place in Hillsborough, New Hampshire, and it was called the Plague House. And the story behind this house is that during the 1800s, I guess there was an outbreak of maybe malaria or some disease, and this house was used as a quarantine house where they held the people who were basically on their deathbed just waiting to die. And they would keep them there, and when they passed away, they would bury them in a mass grave with no headstones or anything like that. And so over the years, this place got the reputation of being haunted. And so my mom and my little sister and I went there because we heard that you could just sit in the driveway, turn the car off, and things would happen. And people would tell stories of, the car wouldn't start, and we'd see shadows moving and all this stuff. So we went there one night, and it didn't really seem like anything had happened, but it was just such an experience for me that over the years, I went back a few times over the years, and it's just a subject that's fascinated me. So we went there, we went back, nothing really happened. I mean, we heard some strange tapping noises that we thought was just the engine cooling down, stuff like that. And then the following morning, we came out. My sister and I were walking to the bus stop to go to school, and we lived at the end of a very long dirt road, and my mom had a white car. It was a white Jeep, and so it was always covered in dirt. And when we walked by it that day, we saw writing on it, just the whole car just covered in fingerprints that looked like someone was trying to write something, but not with letters, not in English. It was really weird. And that was the end of it. We never went back for many years. And
oh my gosh.
I know, it's creepy, right?
That would creep you out. Well, you're not expecting it. You're just, you're trucking along, going to school, whatever, going down the thing, and then you look and it hits you. That realization. Oh, it's spooky.
Yeah, it was very creepy. And so I went back a couple times after that, but the second time I went back, I was 18 or 19. I had just graduated from high school. And, we went down this big, long dirt road to get there. And it's like stereotypical New England. If you've been to New England, it's the old farmhouses and the big fences and just those creepy trees that just like kind of just come over the road, and you feel like you're just being swallowed into the trees. It's just a dreadful feeling as you go down the road to the house. It's just a feeling of pure fear that I've never experienced before in my life. And so my friend and I, a couple of friends and I, we parked in front of the house. And keep in mind, this is a private residence and people live there. And this was before the whole having respect for private property thing that I try and I try and exhibit on my website. Obviously, I don't have private houses on there. But anyway, so that aside, we decided that time to actually get out of the car, and we parked on the side of the road. And the house, you could see through the woods. It was a big white farmhouse. And next to the driveway was a pathway, and we followed it up above the house. And we came into a cemetery that was like a personal cemetery for the house. And I don't know if it was legitimate fear, but I froze on the spot, and I felt like I was going to die. And I never went. We left. We went to McDonald's, ate some cheeseburgers, and I never went back.
But it just overcame you.
And
see, that's the thing. I mean, you didn't get scratched, you didn't get pushed, you didn't get knocked down, but you were you dealt with what I call that inherent intuition of, like, I've got a yard full of animals back here. I live on a wildlife preserve is my backyard, and then the water, right? So I've got rabbits eating it with chipmunks. I've got, there's so much out here all at the same time. But if you watch,
nice.
Oh, it is. It's really nice. I got very lucky. But you watch that rabbit, and we also have hawks. We also have, and
right.
I mean, many a time I've run out the backyard with a broom, just not my bad, But anyway, that's just me. I'll make you a sandwich. Don't eat my rabbits. So, but you'll watch the rabbit and see the chickadee. This is going to make sense in a minute. The chickadee, little bird, tiniest little bird out there, has like 27 different calls, and they warn. And they have one for an owl. They have one for a hawk. They have one. When that chickadee notices, it feels something's wrong. And it starts making its calls, and then it gets a little bit louder. And then the squirrel starts paying attention, and the rabbit freezes and just starts looking around. But because there's different calls like that, all their intuition and all of their senses are on. It's danger. There's a predator. There's a thing. We've talked ourselves out of that.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah. See, we've talked ourselves out of that. We don't, there's been many a times that I've stood in front of an elevator and it opened. There was somebody in the elevator, and I just, I'll take the next one, because I have no problem with making you feel bad. I'm sorry, but I'm not getting on the elevator. I'm listening to that intuition, or whatever you want to call it. People don't do that. How many times have you heard? Yeah. Go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say, go with your gut. The only time in nature that I've really seen that fear in action. So back in the 80s, my cousin had a boa constrictor, and it was finicky. It wouldn't eat the frozen mice. It wanted live mice. It wanted to dispatch them itself. And I would watch him put the mouse in the enclosure with the snake. And if you ever run across a mouse in the kitchen or something, they're running around, they're trying to get away, they're darting this way and that, running under stuff. The mouse is in there in the enclosure, and he's just kind of looking around like, this is kind of nice. And then all of a sudden he senses the snake. He doesn't necessarily see him. I don't know if he smells him or just whatever. And the mouse would actually freeze with fear. It would just kind of stand there, and it didn't try to run. It didn't try to get away. And the snake just slowly comes over, and then boom, the mouse is gone. And
that's what it felt like.
That's that kind of fear, that primal fear, where it's just like you're so scared you can't do anything.
Yeah.
But you listen to
I've
it.
only felt that one or two times. I mean,
well, you think about it, Brian. Think about this. Feeling. You want something to scare the crap out of you? How many of the missing 411 people felt that feeling and went ahead anyway?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I had a time in the Smokies once where I had wandered off the trail and I found just the most beautiful clearing. And it was just so peaceful and quiet. And there was this big old tree there. I literally had to fight myself because I wanted to lay down there and just rest, maybe take a nap. And then it's like all of a sudden I came to my senses. I'm like, what am I thinking about? You know, it's evening. If I can lay down here and go to sleep, I'm going to wake up in the dark if I wake up at all, unless, you know, it's when it's a bear taking me or something. And you wonder about that. How many people didn't, you know, think about it? Like, yeah, this, you know, you Rip Van Winkle, you could fall asleep and they never see you again, you know? And I wonder how many times stuff like that has happened. There's a lot of missing people there under, and not just there. There's clusters of them all over the U.S. The Pleiades, and I have no answers for that one.
Yeah, no, it's really, it's crazy to think about, you know, because we think we live in this safe box, in this safe world, but it's so far from true.
And you get out in the woods, there's all kinds of things that can kill you.
I'm a firm believer in portals, man. I'm telling you, I do.
A tree fall on you, you can drown, you can get hit by lightning, you get eaten by a bear or a cougar or something.
I really believe that there's portals, man. I really believe that there's things that you can fall in. Brian, you ever heard the thing with the guy with the cow? You'd be very interested in this.
Maybe.
Okay. There was a farmer, and he had a field, and there's many cows in the field, and a couple of the cows had calves. So he was like doing some extra, I guess he was doing some fence mending or something like that. And he looks, and there's the mom with the calf, and you know they're kind of going over to where all the other cows are and stuff, and he's keeping an eye on them because you know you got to check to see if the calf is keeping up, is he walking okay and all that. So he's paying extra attention to the calf. And he turns his back and he's mending the fence, and he, you know, goes to pick up something else, and he turns around and looks, and he sees the mom and the calf about halfway where the other ones are, and they're grazing along and doing their little thing. And they're about maybe 20 feet from him, something like that. He turns back around again, and now just the mom is walking towards the calf. So he's looking around, and he doesn't see the calf. So he's like, hold on a minute. You know, I'm in the middle of a field. Where did this calf go? So right away, he starts looking for holes in the fence, things like this. Well, he's mending the only hole that he had that he knows of. And the calf, the way the calf's walking, there's no way it could have got to another part of the fence. Do you see what I'm saying? It wasn't that fast.
Right.
So he's scratching his head and going, what's going on? So he goes back over, much like Steve's first experience where he saw a little baby fall into the ground and it just disappeared. He goes back to where he last saw the calf. Now he can hear the calf, but he can't see it. He can't figure out what it is. It sounds like it's right in front of him, but he can hear it and he cannot see it. I mean, he got some other people to try to help him figure out, did it go through a hole in the fence? Was there some kind of like thing it fell in the hole and he can't find the hole?
Like this went on for days. Into another dimension.
Right.
I've heard about that and the disappearances for the people that do make it back. So one lady said she could hear the people yelling for her, and she was yelling back, but she said it was like they were far, far away when it was really just a few yards. And she said everything looked similar, but yet different. The trail was gone, the cabin or whatever she was close to, it wasn't there anymore. And she'd only walked a few feet off the trail into the woods, not far enough to, she's like maybe 20 yards, not enough to get lost or even out of sight of the place.
Yeah.
And then she said eventually things just kind of came back to normal. Said there was like a change in the pressure maybe. And then she turns around, there's the cabin, there's the people, and they're like, where'd you go? And she's like, well, I was right here. Where'd you go? And it was
amazing.
They could hear,
she could hear them,
but they couldn't hear her.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, physically, from a physics perspective, anything is possible. So
it's nuts. And see,
yeah.
and then you think about it too. When we're hearing ghosts, are we
Mm.
hearing a ghost of a person who died and is haunting, or are we hearing somebody in another dimension and another time?
No.
True.
I've had a couple of experiences I think truly were time slips.
Yeah.
I saw a couple in an older, like 50 style car wearing 50 style clothes, and they had this absolute horrified look on their face. And I was so concerned, I went to the next little driveway, back, pulled in, backed out, turned around, went back, and they were just gone. There was nowhere else they could have gone other than into the lake, and there wasn't a car in the lake. But I think briefly they were sent forward in time, or maybe I was sent back. I don't know.
Right.
But they saw me in my modern vehicle and weird punk haircut and thought, what kind of wild person is that?
Because
they
like
looked
that.
terrified.
There's been so many like that.
I
Look
wondered
at
if they had been driving down the road and suddenly, where are we? We're lost. What is this place? I don't recognize any of this. And then they were just gone. Or maybe they saw me and then I was just gone. But either way, it was a strange experience.
And what if the footsteps you're hearing coming down the stairs, what if that was you on Tuesday?
Right, yeah.
I mean, but we don't know.
That's an interesting point, too.
We don't know.
Because it makes you wonder, is time something that we just made up to help us quantify the passing of moments that otherwise just wouldn't? I mean, what is time?
We don't know.
What is it?
According to Chicago, nobody really knows what time it is. So
that's true.
Yeah,
and
it's crazy.
No one cares.
Yeah,
and it's just such an abstract concept. And then there's the theories that time is not linear. There are streams, and sometimes the stream overlaps or crosses.
Or it could be that the future and the past and the present are all the same, and that we exist in the same time as everything else, and that could be just things being replayed. It could be so many things. We just don't know.
We don't. And from the beginning of this conversation to the end, this is what I'm going to say in like the conclusion of the whole thing. I think it's all true. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I really do. I think it's all happening at the same time. And the smarter we get, as far as tech and trying to figure out things, because like I said, when I was in the 70s, you know what the big deal then was? Was parapsychology. What happened to that?
Yep.
And you had people kind of, but it's kind of gone under the, I don't know, it's not as prominent
University
now.
of North Carolina was like the first school in the country that had a parapsychology program.
We had people like Barry Taft
studies, the ESP and the Zener cards and telekinesis. All that, and then it just kind of,
it's got to be.
You don't hear that much about it anymore.
Yeah, you have like people like Lloyd Auerbach was saying, 10 people in the room.
Prescott. Remember Prescott? He was all over the TV. Uri Geller, Peter Hurkos.
True.
All these people that,
Barry Taft,
then that just kind of changed and went another direction.
Yeah. And I mean, they're sitting in a room watching this guy get scratched. You remember Sally House? That was, oh gosh, that was crazy. To look back at that now, you just go, what in the world were they doing? And and out of being sincere and out of respect for what they were doing at the time, they're all sitting at the table, and this guy just gets scratched right in front of him. Nobody moved. Nobody flinched. The guy's sitting in a chair all by himself. And the guy looks at him and goes, you got that on camera, right? I'm sitting here. I can't imagine how that's happened. He didn't do it to himself, but they're still not admitting that something else is in the house that they can't see. It has to be something psychological the guy is doing to himself, or, I mean, there's just so much psychology in it. And then, a full apparition walks across the room, 10 people see it, and someone, Lloyd Auerbach says, well, that's mass hypnosis. What?
Right,
hold on, what? It's like, so it's whatever trail you take on this, you're going to find some truth along with theory.
Yep.
And that's basically what we're left with, no matter how much we've had an intelligent conversation for 2 straight hours with 3 different people that have been looking into this for many years. Steve and I, 45 years, if not more. And you with your research and, your integrity. And we're all looking at it in a different way and all coming up with the same conclusion. We don't know.
Yeah,
it may all be true.
Thought about that, Cisco. You put our experience together. That's 100 years worth of thinking about this stuff. And if anything, we've got more questions than we started with. There are no answers,
and
nothing makes me run faster than somebody that says they're a paranormal expert.
That's right. Yeah, you're hearing a lot
I like
of that.
to put the expert in quotes.
Yeah. I just,
there are people that
I don't think there
better
are
things or know more things, or maybe
in
one
thing or another. Yeah,
if they're getting paid for doing it. But it's like there is such a thing as a medical expert, but even doctors are still practicing medicine.
True.
There's no one doctor that says, "Okay, I've learned everything there is to know about medicine."
I think they're just running out of words, honey. I mean, it's like hero. It's overused and misunderstood. It really is, because you're going to have.
You can be an expert in certain areas, but still, there's still going to be questions that even the experts can't answer.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly. I mean, and that's this is it right here. I mean, I have done what I believe in my whole heart, with my whole mind, communicated with people who have died, not just died, but crossed over and come back via visitation or whatever, through many different filters, through many different, you name it, proof, knowing things, this, that, the whole shebang. And they won't tell you what it is. You see what I'm saying? It's like we're not supposed to know, and I'm fine with not knowing. I'm more
and sometimes admitting you don't know shows that you know more than most people, because anyone who's thought about it realizes that it's so unlikely that we know.
That's true.
There's
Absolutely,
just
100%.
too many possibilities.
The only thing that I'm comfortable with is I do believe that our energy and our life goes on. I believe that love.
Yes.
I absolutely 100% believe that love continues on, whether it's from a pet or a loved one or a friend. I absolutely believe it, because I've seen it work. I've seen it connect. I've seen it change lives. I've seen it, you know what I mean, of lives of the dead and the living. And I've seen it and I've felt it, and like that fear that you said when you were walking up on that graveyard, that was unmistakable. For whatever reason, you backed off away from it. I've felt the opposite. I've felt that extreme love, that extreme warmth and comfort, and there's a definite difference. And, between them, between the frequencies, the whole thing. Like when Steve talks about black-eyed children, I always said I'd be on the other side of the door singing Joy to the World in bare feet and just dancing like lunatics, singing, happy stuff, because they can't stand it. They can't be around it. It repels them, I believe.
Makes sense.
And it's hard to do.
When you're
when you're peeing yourself.
I had one in front of me to look at. It's just I couldn't even get my car door open or get my keys in the key slot.
Oh, honey, I've been there. Yeah. And that is a fear that'll come over you, but that's a different thing. Like when you're running, like, all right, here's my Halloween story that you're both going to laugh at, but I'm going to put it out there. I always used to tease my boys. My boys were, I raised two boys of my own. My oldest, at a very young age, I'm a terrible mother. He loved Freddy and Shocker and, all these different things, but he dealt with it in a kind of a very mature way. Like you said, you love Goosebumps. He was reading Goosebumps at 6, and I mean devouring them at 6,
About when I started, actually.
Yeah, I mean, he just, so the thing I would always kid them about, I was never a slasher movie person. I'm more of the ghost and haunted house kind of person. But they kind of liked it to a certain degree, and I was like, well, that's not even scary. Like I'm watching Michael, and the Halloween thing, and, like the mummy would just walk at you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Run. He's walking. You run and get out and do whatever. That was always my thing, right? So a couple of years ago, we were sitting there, and everybody's too old to trick or treat and stuff like that, and there was a lot going on, and I said, man, I can't believe I let Halloween come on and we don't have any plans. So my son surprised me and just got me tickets, and we went to this firehouse haunted house thing, and I normally don't like those, but it was a firehouse, and it was kind of cool, and it was a local thing, and I said, let's do it. We'll go do that, and we'll do some other stuff. It'll be great. So we go, and they did a great job. I mean, I was just thrilled with the work they put into this, and they just did an amazing job, and I was just having a blast. And the clowns were coming at me, and I was screaming, and it was wonderful. And the whole time, you know, I'm hanging on to my son just, you know, because I love to be scared, but I don't want to hit the person that's scaring me, so I hang on to my son so I don't cold cock him. So we're doing all this, and we come out, and I'm thanking the maitre d', the whatever you call it, the ghost host, whatever. And I said, man, you guys did great. Thank you for doing this, and yada, yada. And behind me is a dude dressed like Michael. I think it's Michael. Is that the one with the hockey mask?
That's Jason.
Okay. Worse yet, right? So it's Jason. So the guy is dressed like this, and he's just standing there, and I can look at my son and my other son, and they're looking at me, and they got that look like, okay, what's behind me? And I turn around, and it's this dude, and I'm like, okay, you got me. That's good. Stop. And he's not stopping. He's just standing there, you know, and he's got this, and it's ominous. And I'm like, okay, that's good. Okay, we're leaving now. And I'm walking toward the car, and this dude's following me. And all he's doing is, in every movie you've ever seen, I'm walking and talking, and he's just walking. And I'm freaking out. Because I don't want to hurt this guy. I'm literally looking around for something to hit him with, you know, and I'm trying to get away from him because I'm getting caught in the moment. And I'm walking towards the car, and my sons are just standing there, and I'm like, okay, I give, it's scary, stop. And the guy's not stopping, and I'm trying to get in the car, and it's locked. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to hit you. Don't come near me, you know. And he's coming up, and I'm laughing and almost crying at the same time because it was so freaky. And I said, I give. It's scary. It's scary. And he's standing right in front of me. I didn't know what else to do, and I just hugged him. And he hugged me back.
There you go.
And he hugged me back, and it was really cool. But this is the thing.
That's funny.
The whole reason I tell that is, as you're running from it, the fear and the adrenaline is pumping like crazy. And I had to stand before my sons and say, I take it back. I was wrong. It's freaking scary. It's scary. Yeah. And if I had been one of those chicks in the movie and I fell and sprained my ankle in high heels or something, I'd have been a goner. You know? Yeah. But, I mean, it's just like you think about it. But the whole reason I told that is it's a great Halloween story. And I was taught a lesson. You know? Here I thought I knew what I was talking about. I was obviously wrong. But that buildup of that fear and that adrenaline and that fight or flight, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that is an incredible reality.
Yeah,
so
it is.
Whether you're in the woods, whether you're in a, you know, in a house and you don't understand, and that's where I think the fear comes from, is you're always fear of the unknown, you know, and you don't know what's banging. You don't know what's moving that table. You don't know what that thing is crawling up your bed or whatever, that feeling that something just got in the bed and you don't see it. What is that? So that's, you know, I think we like to be scared within our boundaries, and then, you know, we get to that one point, or we try to get in that group and go and visit that house. And like you said, you've got to be responsible because there's some real, you know, real thing. I mean, fall through a floor and get hurt. You know, there could be people squatting there that are going to hurt you, or, you know, I've known many of people walking in on, you know, hiding places for drug dealers.
Those
and
are
like
some
that.
of my biggest fears.
That's a reality. But there's also things that, you know, you shouldn't be challenging. You shouldn't be going against if you don't have a clue what you're doing. And that could be a human entity that's just really ticked and has no interest in talking to you, or, you know, and has built up energy. And, you know, I've known people that get hurt. I mean, Gettysburg, you know, I've seen people get slapped, punched in the stomach, thrown, you know, 8 feet, you know, and they probably deserved it because of the things they were saying.
One guy was whistling Dixie on the wrong side of the battlefield.
He was provoking.
In the stomach.
He was provoking.
That was an insult to
bet it was.
The Northern soldiers.
Yeah. So I think what we take away from tonight is we don't know. And, you know, I think we can learn a lot from the dead. You know, the regret that they left behind, the, you know, unfinished business and things like that. We've learned a lot of things from, you know, people coming back to try to, she didn't come back. That one girl didn't come back to solve her own murder. She solved it because she knew that guy was going to get out and do it again. Who knows? She was probably in the cell with him, listening to his thoughts and what he was saying.
Yeah.
And knew.
Yeah.
And that blows my mind, Brian, you got to come back, honey. Please come back.
Yeah, definitely want to do this again.
Let's do this state by state. And, like me tonight, I found so much stuff in my own state I was unaware of. You heard some more that you were unaware of for New Jersey, and probably some from Steve in Tennessee. And I really believe that paranormal investigators should get on this site, do their input, write to you pictures, the EVPs. And I just have this vision that, if they do that and we get 2 or 3 groups that went to one place and maybe got the same type of evidence, isn't that what science is also seeking? We keep saying that we'll never prove it because we can't repeat it. We can't put it in a jar. But what if three different, groups go out there and get similar things?
Right. Yeah. I mean, even that's if you can't prove what it is or how it works, you're still getting validation. That,
True.
Okay, it's irreproducible to a point, but the same thing kind of keeps happening.
Right.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, and for all we know, that happens all the time. We just haven't put it all together in the same place
is what I'm saying.
Observe it and try and quantify it.
Ghostquest.net. That's the place to go. Look up your state. Look there. If you look up your I would say start with your state. If you're not a paranormal investigator, you're just somebody interested in this, and see if you've got any pictures.
Might surprise you.
Yeah,
some of the places you'll find there too.
It's absolutely amazing. I was shocked at the stuff I pulled up.
Yeah, that's some of the really obscure ones from, like I said, where I grew up. So
yeah.
I'm gotta go through the whole site now over time and see what all you got that I haven't heard of in other states.
And look it up. Yeah, it kind of renews your interest too, because you think that you've heard it and then you haven't, because here's new stuff.
Right.
And if everybody does that and everybody puts some input and comments, I mean, I could just go down and take a picture of the house. You don't have it. I can go get it.
Right.
You see, that's another way. And then they can have a picture or something like that. That's just amazing. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's got a fantastic future. And please tell everybody again all about that, where to find you, where to find your books, and all that good stuff. How to contact you.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So, so you can definitely go to ghostquest.net. And you can click on haunted locations, just click on your state, click on anywhere you're interested in. You can follow me on Twitter at ghostquest_USA. You can find me on facebook.com/ghostquest.net. I'm on Instagram, ghostquest.net. Pinterest, I'm on Tumblr, and I also have a Patreon. Once I get 25 followers on Patreon, I'm going to start doing a monthly giveaway.
How cool.
So there's that. And then also, if anyone's interested, you can subscribe to my newsletter, and you'll get emails every month or so with updates about what I'm working on, what's new, new videos, all that kind of stuff.
Cool deal. And you said too that they could get the book, or there was a book.
Yes. So so I do have a couple of ebooks out on Amazon, and you can search for the Haunted Locations Index. I have New York, New Jersey, a few states. But those books are all going to be rewritten with my new publisher in the near future.
Okay.
So honestly, I'd wait on those. But I do have the 3 books that we talked about earlier, the Folklore and Haunted Locations Guide, Massachusetts, Michigan, and New York. And those should be coming out sometime around the holidays, maybe between Thanksgiving and the New Year. So, if you guys want to keep an eye out for that.
Fantastic.
And Cisco, I know we talked about doing an exchange, because I'd love to read your book as well.
Absolutely.
You're All Children in the Wilderness of the Afterlife. Is that the name?
That is. How come he can get it right and you can't get it, Steve? You're co-author.
Well,
I do a live show in the mornings, and I blow it about half the times unless I'm sitting here looking at it. I can remember the second part, a guided tour through a haunted life. I love that part, but I get tired.
I just tease him. He's so funny. But yeah, thank you. And see, we tried to do with our book kind of what you're trying to do with yours. We just wanted to do kind of a thing through my experiences, and then Steve comes in behind, you know, and gives his color commentary. But basically, it's a guided tour through a haunted life. We wanted to give the experiences to the people that may have had experiences themselves, so they can match them up, so they would kind of validate their experiences too. And throw out ideas like we did tonight, like could it have been this, could it have been that, you know?
Right.
And it
was
kind
a
of
lot of fun. It just I'd never co-written with anyone, and it was just I really didn't know what we were going to do, but it turned out great. I tried to rein myself in as much as possible and tell a story or an anecdote, but not overshadow Cisco's stories, because it's really her book. She just I'd been after her to write it after I'd heard all these stories, and finally she said, "Okay, but if I do it, you're coming with me." So I agreed, and there it is.
How cool! How cool!
I can't wait to check it out. And you did promise me an autographed copy.
Yes,
so
you'll have it. You'll have it. I'll trade you. I want that one on New Jersey.
Yep. Okay, New Jersey it will be then.
Sounds so good. This has been
Brian,
such fun.
I do a morning show, sometimes a morning horde rush on Dizombified's channel. I host that Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'd like to have you on sometime. That's usually a really short show, about an hour. But if you ever have any time available in the mornings through the week, I'd love to have you on. I'll get in contact with you about that.
Yeah,
that'd be great. I think I messaged you on Twitter a few times. So
we've sort of met and talked back and forth. I get got a lot of things going on. I forget who I've talked to and who.
No worries, I hear you.
Always looking for guests.
Well, that'd be good, because we got to get the message of this website out, and I'm going to share it with all of the paranormal investigators that I know. I would also like to invite you to our it's Journey Through the Gate Paranormal Portal Podcast Gatekeepers. So there's two pages. Make sure you grab the one that's Gatekeepers. I'll send you an invite or get you in there or send you a link. Okay. But come in there, and I want you. There's so many paranormal investigators. There's so many groups. There's so many. You know, I've got Richard Sennett. I mean, he's been in this for 60 years. Different things in there, so we can help get the word out on this website, because I'd really love to see everybody getting together and putting their information and their evidence and things like that on there. And, you know, maybe we can expand it outside the United States and just bring the world in. I think it'd be absolutely fantastic.
Someday that will happen.
Our haunted world.
Yes.
Because boy, isn't it? You know,
it definitely is. You got to think there are probably more people that are dead than are alive right now.
Oh, isn't that true? Yeah, that's so true. That's a great place to leave that. Thank you so much, guys. This has been absolutely fabulous. And we're going to do it again.
I love talking to you guys.
We're going to do it again. Steve, do you want to tell people where they can find you, sweetheart?
They probably get tired of me telling that, but my books are available on Amazon. Have Strange Things in the Woods and More Strange Things in the Woods, which are stories I collected. And then I have My Strange World, which is my own stories. That stems from going on shows like this, and the host would invariably ask, well, what paranormal experiences have you ever had? So I sat down and thought about them. I had enough to fill a small book there. So that's that. I'm on YouTube at 13 past midnight, and that's mainly me narrating stories from those books. I occasionally do fiction by request, but otherwise it's true or allegedly true stories that I've collected or that I've experienced. And have guest narrators, and I like to give up-and-comers a chance there to kind of get their feet wet. And also, I do the Morning Horde Rush on Dizombified's YouTube channel. It's DEZOMBIFIED. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of a wild environment, very family-style, paranormal family, the Z-Horde family there. And it's amazing. It's put me in touch with so many people and given me a platform to bring in people that I love or that I want to introduce other people to. I've had guests from Denmark, Germany, a couple from the UK, people from all over the U.S.
That's great, yeah.
And it's all a matter of just reaching out and helping people expand their audience and their horizons and whatnot. So a lot of fun. But that's basically it for me. I'm also Twitter Strange and Odd is the Twitter handle, and I'm on Facebook. My email address in the back of all my books. Love to hear from readers or fans or what have you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Awesome. Well, guys, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for taking this journey through the gate. And it's been a long one, but I promise you, it feels like we just got started. So we're definitely going to do part 2. And it's been fascinating.
Go another 3 hours.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Say goodnight.
All right. Good night, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks again, Brian. It was a pleasure.
Thank you guys so much for coming in and sharing part 2 of Brian Weaver and Ghost Quest. And I highly recommend you check out that site. I have talked to, since part 1 aired, I've talked to many people on social media and just, in person, paranormal investigator groups and, the like-minded, about how much they're enjoying this site and going in to the ghostquest.net website and pulling up the map of the United States and hitting their state and seeing all of the different things that are going on around them, and some of them they didn't even know. It's also becoming a great tool for them when they're going to an expo, or they're going to go do a con, or they're going to be in that area for a while and they want to check out a couple of sites before they leave the state. That's fantastic. It's really starting to get around. I highly recommend you check it out. And if you've been to any of the sites that are on there, the one, like Brian said in the conversation, I don't know if it was part 1 or part 2, but he said that he hasn't done all of each site in each state. He's not completed with it yet. But on the ones that he has, there is a spot down at the bottom for you to put your story, your pictures, your EVPs, if you've captured any evidence whatsoever, to share out. That's also a way to get your group's name out there, or you, as if you're a solo investigator, or just somebody who's interested in the history, or just had an experience there. Post it. And that's the way we're going to get this information out. And you talk about para-unity, it's basically just getting the information out there and, comparing evidence. What if 2 separate individuals at 2 different days, 2 different times, go to a site, say a little church that might be haunted or whatever, and get a similar EVP, or an EVP that is of the same voice and speaking on the same thing, and maybe one gets a little more of the information. You put it together and it tells us something even bigger than we could imagine about that spot. So that's just a really cool way of people all around the world to reach out and get that information out to everybody. So that's fantastic. I'd like to thank Steve, as always, for coming in. This is going to hopefully air before Halloween. If it does, and I'm trying really hard here, guys, to get this out in time, but if it does, there are several things I want you to check out. First, after you check out ghostquest.net and you hit up Brian Weaver on all his social media, like he stated, go to 13 Past Midnight's YouTube channel. Now, all this is free, okay? Steve Stockton has put together some fantastic stories. Some are from his books. Some are stories that were sent into him over the years, and he reads them, narrates them. He has guest narrators such as Shannon LeGros of Into the Fray. He's got Kat from Paranormal Heart. I do some. He's got fantastic Tanya. She's out of the UK. She's got he's got so many different people coming in as guest narrators, doing different stories. Some are their own or some are his, and it's just fantastic. There's a couple on there from our book. I've narrated a few. And then I thought I would do something really special for Steve, because he was trying to do the 31 Days of Halloween. Now, if this comes out tonight or tomorrow, you're catching up late, but that's okay because the stories are timeless. He is also doing I think it's 27 hours straight live broadcast on that channel, again free, and it's new stories, it's some of the older stories, and it's just a continuous run. And he'll have Tanya, Unicorn, Unicorp's Tales is coming in to host some of it, and Steve is hosting some of it. Some of it they're going to do together, and that's like 27 hours straight. They're doing this for Halloween, just for you guys, just for the listeners, and it's going to be fantastic. He's also, all 3 of his books on Amazon Kindle are going to be free starting midnight. I'm going to say Hell Night, the night before Halloween, and for 24 hours during Halloween. So from midnight to midnight, those will be free on Kindle. Grab them now. Get them while they're hot. I'm telling you. If you haven't read them, they're great page turners. He is a fantastic storyteller. And there's something else special that Steve and I have both done. Now, this was the thing. We were talking, and I said, I think if I just sat down for a minute and didn't think about it ahead of time and just put myself in a situation as if I was going to tell a story and make it up, soup to nuts, if I could come up with a haunted tale or a ghost story, just a short one, and do a short story. And we were talking about it, Steve and I said, I'm going to go surprise him. His birthday is on Halloween. And I said, I'm going to gift him this. So I wrote a little story, and then I narrated it. And I put it, a lot of fun sounds and different things and stuff like that. Just all Halloween fun. There's great crows and lightning and thunder and laughs, devil laughs and stuff. It's just funny. But it turned out to be a pretty decent little story. And it kind of planted a seed for things to come, because I loaded it up, gave it to him, and said, happy birthday. And people loved it. And they said they'd love to hear more of the story. And I kind of got a taste for it, and I thought, sure, why not? I'll go ahead and I'll write, what would happen to continuation in this area. It's set all around this cabin that really does exist, but of course it's not haunted. A little cabin area I know of on the top of a mountain where I used to live. And I thought, what if? So I thought I'll do a Halloween jambalaya kind of. Everything from black cats to bats to you name it is in there. And all different things like that around a real haunting, a real murder mystery, and some other things that are going around. It's got some cryptids, it's got some other stuff. And just these people. And it turned out that all these characters started taking on a life. And I started writing. And I figured what started out to be a short story turned out to be 2 parts, then 3 parts, now 4 parts, now 5. And I said, I'm going to do a serial. We'll leave a little cliffhanger and tell a real story here. And it's turning out to be pretty darn decent, I think. The funny, weird thing about it, and I'm just telling you guys because it's just me and you right now talking. These characters, when you start to describe a character and really think of their inner psyche, why they do things, what made them that way, what caused them to have the characters and the characteristics that they have, those characters those people, they become people, and they start taking on a life of their own. And as I'm writing this, there's times where I'll be on the laptop and I'll look up and it's an hour and a half later, and I go back over what I wrote, and I'm thinking, my gosh, did I write that? It's almost like the characters themselves write the story. I don't know how the book is going to end or how the series is going to end. I have no idea. I have some similar way where I'd like it to go, but I've done that a couple of times doing this, and it goes another way because the characters surprise you, or the reality of things and the way that they would normally fall into line changes, and you're going another direction. So I am currently right now writing 5. I'm going to narrate, and I'm going to send it to Steve, and I hope I get it in time for Halloween, but if not, it'll be the day after or so. And he's got so much going on his channel for Halloween. But it'd be nice to have a little something afterwards, when you eat your bowl of candy and that you've stole from your kids. All the good Snickers and the Reese's peanut butter cups. We all do it. We all do it. When we're checking the candy, to make sure it's okay for the kids. We always do okay, 2 for me. Here's 1 for you. You can have the Smarties and the candy corn and those peanut butter, those orange and black peanut butter wrap things. And, we do it. And then we stick the bowl on top of the refrigerator. And after they go to bed, we sit there and we rate it. We do. So I'm not the only one. So when you're enjoying that, maybe get you a hot cup of tea or a beer or something like that and sit down and listen to this. Now, it turns out that the cabin, it's called The Cabin on 13 Past Midnight's YouTube channel. Again, it's free. That is the prequel. Then it's called The Strange Case of Cabin 22, which is a continuance of that. And there's part 1, 2, 3, 4, and should be 5 by tomorrow or the next day. And I think it's going to end with 6. I'm trying very hard to have it end with 6. And I say that because I don't want to just end it abruptly, just to get it done. I'm not doing that to the listeners. I'm not doing it to the characters. These characters have become something, and I owe them a good story with a decent ending, and that's what I'm going to try my very best to do. So there, try that out. Get Steve's books. Check out Brian's ghostquest.net. Check out my YouTube channel, which is Journey Through the Gate Paranormal Portal Podcast on YouTube. For some reason, it's shadow banned because I dared to put up a conspiracy fact video about JFK, so YouTube is, I guess, shadow banned me, so I'm hard to find. If you have any problem, look for me in on Facebook under Cisco Murdoch, or at Journey Through the Gate Paranormal Portal I can't do it myself. Paranormal Portal Podcast Gatekeepers page. There's one without gatekeepers, but go to the Gatekeeper page. That's where everybody is. That's where all of my podcast friends and listeners and stuff post pictures and questions and thoughts on ghosts and the paranormal and supernatural. So go there and message me, and I will send you a link to the YouTube channel. There'll also be one underneath the show. So do that. Also, Steve and I's our book, our collaboration together, We Are All Children in the Wilderness of the Afterlife, has been edited, revised rather, and with added content. There's an extra chapter in there that wasn't in the book last year. We wanted to give you a little something extra. It is now out on paperback. Please go. Amazon, it's on Amazon. Go to the underneath where you see the Kindle and hit formats, and you'll see the paperback pop up. It turned out fantastic. I'd like to thank Warren Designs. He's out of the UK. He did a fantastic job on the cover design. It was exactly what I wanted, 100%. It's done in larger print on cream paper, so easy on the eyes. It's lovely. It came out absolutely gorgeous. And they're also running a special with Amazon. If you buy the paperback, you can get the Kindle or gift the Kindle for $1.99 extra. So how cool is that? So you can give the gift of Boo. And Steve and I would really appreciate it. If you read that, if you like the book, you got something else, you don't like the book, or you didn't like one of the stories, just put a review. Put an honest review on that, because the reviews really help on Amazon. If you hated the book, just don't say anything, because it'll hurt me. But, if that's really how you feel, be honest, So thank you so much for everything. Thanks for listening. We love you. Harry loves you. Say you love him, Harry. We love you terrible. Thank you so much. Happy, happy, happy Halloween. And the most important part is just, be excellent to each other. Just like Bill and Ted always said, just be excellent to each other. Kindness doesn't cost a thing. It might cost us, a little, might have to swallow our pride sometimes, and we want to yell and scream at each other, but negative brings negative, and positive brings positive. So I think we're doing ourselves a gift if we try to be a little kinder and a little nicer out there, even to people. I think it's probably most important if we do it to the people that probably don't deserve it, because we're really just hurting ourselves if we don't. And that's something I always struggle with too. I've got that Lenape, Cherokee, Scottish temper, and boy, I'll tell you, if it's one thing I got to get right before I leave this earth, it's probably that. I have to, chill. You keep my temper under control. So thank you so, so much to each and every one of you. Have a safe and happy Halloween. Enjoy every moment. And most importantly, keep your feet under those covers and keep your closet door shut, because there are things that go bump in the night. Love you all. Happy Halloween.